Price gauging. Introduce our members. Definition of price gauging.
Price gauging refers to unreasonably raising the price of goods or services during times of crisis, natural disaster and emergency. Example: COVID-19 is one example of price gauging happening, especially face masks, because it is mandatory at that time and the price of face masks is expensive. What are the characteristics of price gauging? First is unethical practices. Price gauging involves taking advantage of consumers' vulnerability and urgent needs to extract excessive profits. Example: unethical practice of price gouging demonstrates a disregard for the well-being of consumers and exploits their vulnerability for short-term financial gain. Secondly is excessive price increase. Price gauging involves excessive price increase, that means an above-market price increase that is considerable and unreasonable for the goods or services. Example: Malaysia is suffering ongoing increases in the cost of basic goods since 2019 due to Malaysia against price controls and subsidies. Third is opportunistic behavior. The opportunistic behavior of price gauging is widely criticized as exploitative and unethical, which driven the seller to take advantage of a specific situation such as natural disaster. Example: companies takes advantage of market imbalances, consumer vulnerability, and limited competition to maximize profits at the expense of consumers. Fourth is drastic price changes. Price gauging involves raising prices to levels that are disproportionately higher than the pre-existing or market value of a product or service without considering reasonable factors such as production costs or operating expenses. Example: prior to the outbreak of COVID-19, hand sanitizers were priced at less than RM10. However, following the emergence of the virus in Malaysia, the cost of hand sanitizers increased to RM20 within a single day. Fifth is market dominance. Market dominance of price gouging refers to a situation where a seller or a group of sellers have significant control or influence over a particular market. Example: as face masks are now mandatory, companies that sell them have gained significant market control.
What is the factor of usage? First is imbalanced supply and demand. Price gauging happens when demand is more than supply. In this case, sellers take an advantage to increase their price to get more profit. Example: during COVID-19, face masks, sanitizers and antibacterial wipes increase 100% of price. Second is weak price regulation. If there are no appropriate regulatory, many sellers will set an unethical price. Example: because there is no price control on face masks and sanitizers, the sellers will set the price very expensive, such as a box of mask cost around RM20. Third is market disturbances. Natural disaster and pandemic cause a negative impact to the market. Example: COVID-19 had caused an urgent needs for face masks and sanitizers, which lead to a high demand with a shortage of supply. Because of that, the sellers will set a price at a higher price. Fourth is consumer urgency. When customers are in a desperate position, businesses have the opportunity by charging outrageous prices. Example: face masks and sanitizers is an urgent needs during COVID-19. Fifth is limited competition. When the assortment of choices available to consumers is restricted, retailers are afforded greater flexibility in establishing pricing strategies, which enables them to take advantage of the situation. Example: pharmacies charged RM20, RM30 each package for face masks due to high demand. Pharmacies knew consumers had little options and would buy face masks at whatever cost to protect their health, so they used this pricing tactic.
Next, what are the advantages of price gouging? The first advantage is quick profit. Businesses can increase their profit margins per unit sold by drastically boosting prices when there is a great demand or a shortage of a good. Customers' willingness to pay more when they have an urgent or need for specific goods or services is one of the major factors contributing to price gauging's profitability. For example, sellers' markup the cost of eggs during the pandemic was higher than chickens. Secondly, quick sales. The quicker revenue creation is a result of price gauging's higher profit margins per unit sold. They can profit from the brief spike in market dynamics by changing pricing to correspond with the increased demand or constrained supply. For instance, during COVID-19, people bought face masks not only to protect themselves from the virus but also to avoid getting fined for not wearing one. This led to a big increase in face mask sales because everyone had to wear them. Lastly, adaptability of the market. This adaptability can help markets respond to quickly shifting conditions more effectively, ensuring that resources are allocated to where they are most required or valuable during crises or unexpected events. For example, many individuals rushed to get vitamin C from pharmacies during COVID-19 in order to protect themselves from catching the virus. What are the disadvantages of price gauging? The first one is consumption with vulnerable people. Price gauging mainly affects people who are already in risk, such as those who in need during disasters. For instance, households with low income level, B40, as group was exposed to high risk during COVID-19 pandemic has reversed the stability of this country. Unbalanced accessibility. Some with greater purchasing power can afford to excessive charges, other group may be threatening their well-being and worsening the situation. T20 households spent a large amount to necessities and luxurious items compared to another group income level. Thirdly, economic instability. Price gauging can encourage jam, panic buying, worsening shortages and delaying the start of recovery process. For example, in 2020 during COVID-19 pandemic happens in Malaysia, most supermarkets nationwide full with big crowds and long queue who are doing grocery shopping due to untrusted rumors. The next one is adverse social effects. People may feel exploited and develop hatred towards people that engage in price gauging, which can lead to frustration, tension and conflict. For example, most household affect with poverty and hunger due to price increased as a result of COVID-19 impact on the supply and demand of the food market across developing country. The following disadvantages: fierce competition. Similar goods or services, a sizable number of market participants, or a significant amount of customer demand are just a few examples of the situations that may give rise to this rivalry. For example, during COVID-19 pandemic happens, face masks were in high demand to stop the spread of the virus, which drove competition among producers, suppliers, and merchants. Lastly, short-term loyalty. Customers may be temporarily loyal to a brand, but they may change to another if a better substitute becomes accessible. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, brand loyalty towards hand sanitizers can be affected in the short term, including accessibility, cost, simplicity, and perceived usefulness. Hand sanitizers received high demand and it started with Lifebuoy only produced hand sanitizers until more companies exist.
Real practice example of price gouging. There are two real-life examples of potential price gouging, which is sale of face mask on Watsons and sale of oximeter on Shop. The sale of masks is the earliest indication of potential price gouging. Since COVID-19 made mask mandatory, the demand for masks has increased significantly. Watson initially offered masks in small quantities and at a low cost. However, numerous varieties of masks are now accessible on the market. If the price increase is excessive and disproportionate to the increase in production or supply costs, this could be determined as price gouging. The oximeter is a second example of potential price gouging. People have been increasingly concerned about their health during the epidemic. The need of oximeters, which monitor blood oxygen levels, has increased. They were formerly only available in pharmacies but now available on internet sites such as Shopee. However, oximeters costs on Shopee have risen dramatically. This could be considered as price gouging if the price increase. Next is comprehensive and overall conclusion. There are 5 characteristics of price gauging, which is unethical practice, excessive price increase, opportunistic behavior, drastic price changes and market dominance. From these characteristics we can learn that determination of price gauging may vary depending on local laws and regulations. There are 5 factors of usage, which is imbalanced supply and demand, weak price regulation, market disturbances, consumer urgency and limited competition. Based on these 5 factors we can learn that it's important to note that price gouging is generally considered unethical and in many jurisdictions, illegal during emergencies or times of crisis. There are 3 advantages of price gouging, which is quick profit, quick sales and adaptability. We can learn that price gouging is an unfair and unethical practice that should be prevented and discouraged. There are 6 disadvantages of price gouging, which is consumption with vulnerable people, unbalanced accessibility, economic instability, adverse social effect, fierce competition and short-term loyalty. Based on this, we can learn that the effort to prevent and address price gouging are important to protect consumers and promote fair and stable marketplace. There are 2 real practice examples, which is sale of face mask on Watson and oximeter on Shopee. From this we can learn that this exploitative behavior disregards consumer well-being and undermine market trust.